Welcome into Mindset. I am Brad Barrett. Today on the show, we're going to talk about not having any money. Like, I have no money. What do I do?
Flat broke.
Flat broke.
$0.
I have twice been in my life at a point where I had $0 and didn't know what to do.
Actually zero.
One was $17. One was like $120.
So it's funny you say that.
17, okay.
But I couldn't pay rent. I couldn't pay bills.
Any one of us can relate. A lot of us, I should say, can relate to cathartic events like this. You know, even the dollar amount as it was, right? So when we're talking about, I have no money or like, what do I do with it? Just to be clear, it's not that I'm talking about everybody who's just broke or in poverty, right? You could be a college grad, for example, coming out, and not having any money. You could be in debt right now and just struggling with the fact that you have an income. So technically you wouldn't be labeled as not having money, but are so debt ridden that you're not being able to produce anything, right? You could come from a really bad situation where a shelter or a foster home or something like that, and you're trying to get into college and trying to get into things like, you know what I mean? You could have an incarceration on your record and you all of a sudden did something wrong and you're getting a second chance and you got to start over, right? So this whole idea of having no money, these 4 steps we're going to go into, can impact a lot more people than you think. And that's why we wanted to have this show and talk about it, because ultimately to build wealth, you have to start somewhere. And so today's show is about starting somewhere.
Absolutely.
All right, number 1, let's just start here. Again, a lot of these are going to sound rudimentary and elementary to many people, but just humor us because this does matter for many, okay? Securing your basic needs. There's an old saying, right? You want to walk before you run. And I think a lot of times people try to fill a big void too quickly, too fast. And they're missing out on like some basic steps just to start out so that you can at least cover the things you need so that as it takes you time to build money or fill that back up, you're still covered on the things that you do have to have.
No, it sounds basic, but you do have to build the foundation of stability, which comes in the fact, like if I don't have a house, employers need that. You have to start here and get just reset, get on your feet, and then push forward.
Which is actually point number 2, which we'll bring up. But yes, that's the point. Like you need to have shelter, you need to have food, you got to have some things to help you run with this. Now, if you're ever truly starving, which people have been there, this is really dramatic, but like if you're truly starving, you're not at your best. Okay? Enters the old Snickers commercial, right?
I was just going to say, was it Snickers that it was like nobody makes good decisions when they're starving?
Yeah. And that is actually in jokes aside commercialism, that's a funny way they put it, but the reality is I've been there before. Like it's gnarly. Those 2-3 days you're like, man, I don't really actually know what I'm eating. I'm going top ramen again kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you have support and family members around you, that helps and you can lean on that, but look at things like transitional housing options, local food banks, and don't be too prideful not to. Okay.
I say there's really bad stigma on these.
Big time.
But there's a lot of people that have families that have lost their jobs or in their cars.
There's a pride factor.
Prison college graduates don't have family to rely back on.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a prideful thing. I'm like, I'm not taking food stamps. But these are legitimate things that can get you on your feet.
Yeah.
That you shouldn't be ashamed about. You shouldn't be like, these are there for a reason because people go through this.
100%.
There's nothing wrong with it.
That's why we have the support system we have.
Yeah.
Okay. And the only time you would ever do that is if it's like, something serious and you were intentionally trying to get out of it, right? It is a supported system.
Sure.
Okay. Get your food and shelter dialed in. Okay.
There's actual government programs you need to look depending on your situation.
And there are.
A lot.
One of the best services for this point specifically is check your local churches, Salvation Armies.
Yeah.
A lot of these places will specifically have food, clothes on hand, or will be able to get you in a home pretty quickly.
If you have gone through a system, incarceration or whatever else, right, there's a lot of great programs. I mean, there's one in California I wrote down here, the Adult Reentry Grant Program and Prison to Employment Program. There's great programs that teach you trades, cool things like that. There's like reentry services in general that'll allow that. You can get yourself, and then if you're in that camp, go right back to the top end of this bullet point, which is shelter and food. Okay? Make sure you don't get into debt, figure out your system, and move forward.
And across this country, roughly 600,000 individuals are released from state and federal prisons annually, but resources vary drastically by jurisdiction. So I feel like I always thought that when you're released, you get like a phone and a couple $100s and all that stuff. But in certain states, you walk out of there with nothing and no resources. Mm-hmm. So this is super important. And kind of back on the
because we want the thing, as I'm saying here, not to cut you off, but we want people to build wealth here. We want you to have a part of this American dream, but you have to do the work.
Yeah. And for like the formerly incarcerated, something I always really like that you say is that we're all one bad decision away from being in that position. So just a reminder to have empathy for those people.
Don't cast shade. We want to help these people because if they benefit, we benefit. That's the way this country was built.
We'll never shame anybody that's on tilt.
No.
Because we could be there next.
No.
Yeah.
And if you get in that situation, whatever the situation is, there's tons of resources and it's such a great scenario to do it. So first and foremost, secure your basic needs and benefits, okay? Number 2, this sounds, again, very elementary, but believe it or not, getting a phone nowadays is actually an essential thing. And then ultimately, getting an address. Believe it or not, if you're looking to get employed, employers need to have a way to communicate with you and have a place where you live.
Most jobs I've ever seen, you have to have an address.
And to be paid, right?
Yeah, you have to have a home address on file.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know that you could get free smartphones. And then my husband worked a lot with homelessness at our old church. And he would always talk about like when he would go do outreach and like go into the camps, he would always talk about like, oh yeah, like I got their phone number. I was like, what do you mean? He was like, oh yeah, like there's programs to get free smartphones so that you can be in contact with people. So
what are the programs? Do you have the names for
them? Here it is called the ACP Affordable Connectivity Program.
That's a low.
These are government subsidies phones. They're great.
No, it's fantastic.
You have to apply for them, and that's to be certain means or needs-based issues. But yeah.
And for most people that don't, usually if you're in a halfway house, something like that, you can use that address. Yeah. If you truly don't, a P.O. box is a really good secondary
P.O. box is an easy one. You can go to any situation, set that up. Yeah. So
also ask a family or friend if you can use their
address. A lot of times the people in these situations, they don't have that kind of network, which is why these programs exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sad reality, but it's the truth.
Most people, if you get down to 0, you don't have that network to help you not get to 0.
Get down to 0, but also get down to 0 plus a lot of these things that aren't the best decisions you're making.
Sure, yeah.
There's usually a connection point and a common denominator of, stuff going on. So number 3, this is where we start actually getting into, now you have a job where you're using these tools thus far to like figure stuff out from government systems or family and support help or getting your budget line item in order with debt or whatever it is. Now is where you start generating immediate cash flow. Because ultimately that's the kicker here.
Yeah.
To get yourself out of this or to start somewhere, you have to have some sort of income coming in.
And this is assuming that you're not somebody that has like a skilled labor that can go back and get the job, but maybe your market's gone, something like this to where you don't have options.
Like there's day labor temp agencies. Okay. This is before you may get that career 9-to-5 kind of deal. Get some money get some money flow happening for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Build your kind of like I wouldn't call it nest egg, but like your dry powder account where it's just like kind of like you can fall on it and it's kind of soft for you if something happens or you can't get that day labor job or whatever it is.
It's true because some people, if you come from like certain industries, the interview process, and I've heard this in the corporate world, is months.
It's long.
So if you have 0, you may get the temp work, the Uber driving.
Totally.
Because you're going to have to eat.
Totally.
Even before you get leads on an actual real.
And that's that job. Gig economy. That's so we did another show on the whole
side hustles
and stuff like that. The gig economy is huge. DoorDash, Uber, Instacart. This is assuming you have a car, right? Yeah. But I mean, you can, and they have features. A lot of these places that I've found out, they have these cash out options. Like they're kind of instant. You don't have to like wait for a paycheck.
A lot of industries that do construction, moving, labor. What else would do? Catering. These are a lot of these gig opportunities that will pick up day laborers, that pick up the occasional workers.
Yep. Yeah. So utilizing kind of this is that third step where it's like you're in the job process right now. You still gotta get some money in the bank. Don't just sit around and just wait.
Yeah,
for sure.
And there are some real desperate options as well.
Yeah. By the way, there's recycling. There's plasma donation.
I did that in college.
Did you? Really?
I was broke in college. Oh yeah, my buddies and we would go every 2 weeks.
I brought that up to him and he was like, you can get paid for that?
Oh, dude.
Like, yeah.
Well, I knew you got paid $60.
I knew you used to be able to, but
20-something years ago.
Like there's some bodily fluids that you could make money on that now you can't.
No, but the blood plasma stuff is real. And actually, I always loved it because, as a Christian, I was kind of like, this is helping somebody.
Yeah.
So I always thought it was like a double win for me.
And you get like a lollipop after.
I get a lollipop and you get a little orange juice, a little box of orange juice. Yeah. $60.
Sure.
As a college kid on a Friday night, you got $60.
Big money.
Although I highly recommend don't taking blood at 3:00 and then going having a little bar session afterwards.
Sure. Right.
Bad mix.
Bonus tip.
Bad mix.
But the recycling, I mean, you can legit make.
You can.
It's not great money, but if you're literally like, I have 0 options, it's out there.
My grandpa does it as a hobby because he enjoys that kind of thing with his free time.
Okay.
And I get the cash afterwards. Like I give him my bottles and cans, and then that's my side cash.
Sure.
Side cash. See?
But there's also government programs. So for welfare, if you're between 18 and 64 with no dependents and no other income, you can receive up to $310 a month. But it's considered a loan, and it usually gets sent right to landlords or other utilities
that sometimes gets misconstrued because people think our welfare system is literally handing people cash and they think, well, no, it's actually pretty well designed where they send it. But again, a lot of people misuse this and abuse this and whatever, but it is supposed to go directly to landlords, directly to rent. That's a part of it. That's where Section 8 housing comes in, right? So, so those kind of things.
And there are unemployment benefits. We were talking about this earlier. Working in TV, you're a contractor. So in between shows, we'd have breaks where we qualify for unemployment.
Yeah.
So it's actually depending if you left a good job and what you put in over last year. In California, it's up to $450 a week. So if you can get on that, and it's relatively a quick, I think it takes about a month to 6 weeks to get going, but it's a great option to go in there. They also have job centers, job placements. So using these basically what we pay for when we are paying taxes. Yeah. Like, I don't think enough people realize that that's there. And it's not welfare. It's, we pay to get that unemployment insurance. Mm-hmm. Like that's part of our benefits we pay as a society.
It's true. So it's there for the use and it's there to lift you up out of it.
Yeah.
Not to stay on it permanently.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a key point. And I want to say before we go to this last point here and kind of land this plane here, first off, this is very real for many people, number one. And number two, although you might be watching this saying this never happened to me yet, doesn't mean it can't happen. And ultimately, number three is if you remove the stigma of these very elementary sounding points and you think about them logically, these are actually building really, really great discipline for when you do have money. Mm-hmm. And that's why I want to talk to you about it.
Sure.
So I just think I want to say that before we go to this last point, because it's important for people to understand where we're coming from this and why it's important, because this might be back down to step 0 or 1 in the wealth building process, but it's still a step.
Yeah.
It's still a process. It's still a cycle of life. All right, number 4, kind of gone through all of these. Now we're going to leverage local job and training centers, because this is now where, you've secured hopefully some shelter, some food, right? You're able to get sort of even a PO box or some sort of address to look somewhat established. Maybe even if you're really in another situation, you can get a cell phone, whether you can afford it or you need it from a government assistance program. All is good. You try to work some gig economies and some trades to just generate some income.
Starting to make a little money to pay for food.
Something. It's not a career, but it's working for you to, again, go back to number 1. It's allowing you to have a roof over your head and have some food in your belly, right? Yeah. Now is where we want to start leveraging training centers, right? And this is true, depending on where you're coming from. If you have a college degree, you can use employment centers there with regards to recruiters, placements, things like that. And so there's a couple things on here. I want to read some of these that were kind of interesting. Like there are a lot of free career and technical training you can do to help your position on your resume or to get you out of certain situations, whatever it might be, right? Like visiting like the American Job Center of California that's here in California, the AJCC, right? Resume building, interview prep, you name it. It's all inside there, right? Then you got like the vocational program stuff.
There's a lot of trade unions will have programs like this. I know the Carpenters Union in LA does something like this where they work with a lot of recently freed people from prisons. They work with people that are just have no other options to get them a trade to learn. So you get free, basically learning and education in these trades that can start you on a wonderful, lucrative career.
Yeah. Candidly, I was joking with my wife the other day because I've done this since I was 16 basically, and I've never done anything else. Like I always thought maybe one day when the kids graduate or whatever, I don't know any other skill.
You'd be a carpenter?
No.
Not part 2 of Brad?
No, maybe. Not necessarily carpenter. I was just like thinking, I'm like, it would be kind of fun to like relearn a trade, and I would use these.
Sure, yeah.
I wouldn't be the candidate per se that would be like need it per se, but like, why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
And there's some place you pay for, but like I don't need the government assistance side of it per se, but like it'd be cool to like learn somewhere where they have a really good system, because I don't know anything about a lot of these trades because I only did one thing for so long. I think it'd be kind of cool to like, whatever it is.
Same thing at universities. A lot you can get basically free financial aid to take welding courses. They do certain medical.
A lot of certificates,
a lot of dues. So you can get almost a free education because of your situation.
And a lot of these trades, just to be clear, if anyone's also watching this well, a lot of these trades pay very well. Mm-hmm. Okay, number 1. Number 2, even if they might not be in the hundreds of thousands or millions a year, and you have this whole American, I want to, whatever, understand this. You can still build a lot of wealth on a $50,000 a year salary. It's pretty simple, okay? You just live under it and invest the difference. Yeah. It's amazing how that works. It's not rocket science. No one wants to hear it. No one wants to admit it, but it's the truth. Okay, one other thing we should bring up here that's really important, military. Like,
it's my favorite note on here.
Yeah, I have a military background. Well, not me personally, my family does. Like, military is an awesome option for so many reasons, but it gives you such a leg up in your life. So this is more if you're younger, but even if you're older. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
Right?
I have a couple friends that like didn't have like solid family backgrounds and they just like didn't have anywhere to go. And they kind of were like, what better than to join? And I mean, you commit to something for a couple years, you learn solid skills, they provide housing, they take care of you, all that kind of stuff.
Doing a great service to a wonderful country. I mean, there's a lot of things behind this. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Okay. Those are all there. So there's a couple bonus things I want to bring up. Actually, our team did.
Bonus.
Kira, go for it.
Networking in community. I think this one is huge. Like I know our church is really big about like how can we help serve those who maybe have less than us.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to reach out to family for support, for a place to stay, to help you get back on your feet, friends, church, support groups. Also networking, like we always say, it's not about what you know, it's who you know. So
Unfortunately,
Facts.
it's the world how it is. So you might come from a situation where you don't know anybody, but believe it or not, there's a lot of places you can plug into that are also good for your soul in general, like a church or support groups or networking groups. You can do that. And all of a
But
sudden
how
you start
many
meeting
people, back to the pride thing, how many people are really struggling and don't want to put that out there of like, hey, I'm struggling.
That's I know.
I need help.
That's hard.
And they'll go down, they'll fall, they'll go to zero because they won't initially reach out and be like, hey man, I'm struggling, I need a little bit of help.
You know what? I
Nothing wrong
I
with it.
get that. I relate to that. One of my biggest issues my wife even says is like, you don't ever ask for help. And so I relate to that a lot. And and there's a lot of people out there like that. And you can only look inward and say, hey, how bad is it? And do I actually want to help myself?
yeah.
Right.
So it's the
One
truth.
more reminder that there's government programs for food assistance, unemployment. There's one called TAMF, Temporary Assistance for Needy Families,
Yep.
emergency housing, rental assistance, help with utility bills. So a couple things to help you that if, you know, things are getting kind of scary,
We have a ton
don't let
of
it get to
programs,
zero.
and it's just cool. And I know we're focusing a little bit on this show about that, and it may not pertain to a lot of people, but don't bookmark this. Don't be shy, because I've seen a lot in this practice, and that's why I brought this up as a subject matter. I've seen one in particular, an entrepreneur who was really well up, and then the company just went belly up, and everything gone.
And always remember,
You know.
we're throwing a lot of research out. You have free access to internet at public libraries and many other places.
That's true.
True.
That's true.
Good resource. So
Yeah.
on
I
that
have
note.
one more stat.
Ooh.
Well, 75% of Americans living in poverty will move back above the poverty line within a 4-year period. 50% of those individuals will fall back underneath it within 5 years.
Yeah.
So
that's where
support in community is really important.
Back
That's
to your
why-
point, learn the lessons and use them.
Yes, that's why I want to do this, because a part of this next half of my career is really focused on this, which is why I really was going to do this show, is to like, I want to lower that stat dramatically, right? Or increase the stat of people who actually stay out of it, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's just education. That's all it is, right? It's education and the utilization of the tools that you're learning. Because what happens is you learn these things, you get some assistance, that's great, and then all of a sudden you fall back. Our brain is wired so gnarly, right? When you know one thing one way, even though you know it's not good for you, it's wired to like sink you back there. Not by default. God designed our brain to enhance our lives by protecting us, to protect our lives, not to enhance our lives. So we have to kind of focus on that and make sure that we utilize it appropriately.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, we had some fun with that one today. Hope you guys did as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you for tuning in. I know, again, like I said, if it's not pertaining to you, bookmark it, send it to someone who is. There's really good things to come back to. And like I always say, like building wealth has to start somewhere. So having these kind of videos and having these kind of things is really important. But as always, thank you to our subscribers. We love you guys. If you're new to our channel, we come out with great content every single week. We're doing interviews now with some really great people around the mindset and the psychology of all things around money and entrepreneurism, down to everything else, right? You could think of, right? Everyone has some sort of story around money, how it's hurt them, helped them, hype them, whatever it is, right? So we want to talk more about those things. So subscribe to our channel. You'll see a bunch of great content from you. And then follow us at Mindset with Brad Barrett on all of our social media as well. And as always, if you lead with love, it's going to be all right. See you guys next week.